Good morning and afternoon. It's Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Welcome all. I'm Kane and I'm joined with David, better known as the Workday Sharing Guy. Also joining me today is Denise, Logan, and special guests. Welcome to the Sharing Show. There are some small announcements to make. So from today, we will begin airing on select Wednesdays. So the next sharing show will be on the 29th of May, which is in 2 weeks' time. And then after that, it will be each month. There'll be a particular Wednesday throughout the summer that we will air the sharing show.
Thanks, Kane. Can you tell us a little bit more about Zoom?
Certainly. So during the show today, if you would like to interact with anybody on the show, any of the guests, any of the presenters, please make sure you go to the bottom and choose the chat icon. You can select to make sure your chat is sent to all attendees and all panelists. And we want to make this interactive as always. And so also don't forget, at the end of the show, there is an open mic session that starts right after the show. So now I'm going to pass this over to you, Logan.
Thank you. So before we do our survey Kahoot, I just have a little bit of info. Let's view some shirt options. Would you like the tie-dye shirt? And it could be the lighter tinted version that you see at the bottom. Are you interested in a white shirt? Possibly with a black logo? Do you like a black shirt, maybe with an orange logo, a Halloween scary? Or maybe you like the white letters better? The other option would be something like the buttons we have here. Now let's go over to you, Denise, for our Kahoot.
Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and do our Kahoot. We have 2 questions this morning. If you'll open a browser and go to kahoot.it, we will get your pin here in a second.
Denise, yeah, it's asking me for a pin. And once you give that to me, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat in case anyone can't see it.
Okay, our Kahoot for this morning, our pin is 979569. So again, that's 979569. We'll just wait a moment here and then we'll get to the questions. Right, here we go. Which Share Smile shirt would you choose? Tie-dye, white, black, or other?
The shirt shown there in that picture is the lighter colored tie-dye. We're not ordering shirts right away. We're just trying to get a count.
It looks like black is the choice of today.
It seems pretty black and white today.
What is the approximate size of your company? Under 1,000, 1,000 to 4,000, 4,000 to 9,000, or over 9,000? Like we're hitting the middle in there with most everybody, the 1,000 to 9,000 kind of range there, David. All right, thanks for playing along.
Okay, what do we have up next on the agenda?
Up next, we have David, the Workday Sharing Guy.
Okay, hi everybody, this is David. My disclaimer agreement with Workday is I will let everybody know that I do not work for Workday anymore. I used to work for Workday. I was employee 149 back in 2007. The disclaimer here is that we're not doing training here. We're not representing Workday. We're just Workday customers sharing with each other. This is not training. This is, knowledge sharing. And, I highly recommend the Workday training. This is a spot here on the agenda that we reserve for Charity of the Week. We do not have any nonprofits that signed up for today. So it's a blank screen, but this slot here every week will be for those who have joined who work for nonprofit. You could speak about yourself, your nonprofit if you'd like to, and you have a slot here for a share or to ask a question. So given there was no nonprofit that spoke up, I want to celebrate today is half of May, and May is halfway to November, which is also known as Movember for some of us. So there's been a few different episodes here of the Sharing Show where I've pointed out that I'm captain of the Workday alumni team, but we are now called the Workday Alumni Customers and Friends. So I'm going to be asking many of you interested in joining between now and November. But lots of people have different ways of celebrating half of the way to November.
And let's take a look at this week's brainstorm.
I opened up a brainstorm yesterday. I rarely open up brainstorms. I actually have two brainstorms. I emailed everyone who has registered with these links. This one is just opened up last night. I'm going to be watching to see if we could get some votes on this. Check your email or check your spam email for an email from me with a link to this. I do not understand why you would ever show blank on the UI for the show no when false. So when you open up this brainstorm, again, there's a link in an email to you. You'll see a reminder of last week's challenge question. And instead of showing the word no, it will show the word yes or be empty. I think that causes confusion. So it's a very simple brainstorm. Seems simple enough to implement. This picture shows if you're in edit mode, it's pretty obvious. There's a checkbox for yes or no. But when people are viewing, it's just not clear to beginners or novices. And I get confused sometimes too. It says here, it's a temporary report or it's a fully indexed report, but it actually isn't. It's supposed, if it would have said the word no there, it would have been obvious. By the way, this feature is of course already there in reports. When you're writing a report, any true false field, you can ask Workday to show no when false instead of blank. So that's a picture of where I would like to see the word no. So please vote for my brainstorm, and that's brainstorm of the week.
Thank you, David. What's next on the agenda?
Up next, we have our fun photo, I Love Workday, with Sheena from Texas.
All right, Sheena, as we get your audio ready, I'm just going to remind people here that it's exactly 3 months ago for Valentine's Day. We had like this photo contest, and we've had one other guest here from this list of photos to vote for. So the votes are still open. So Sheena, I'm going to pass the mic to you here. And these are pictures of where you go on Community to vote for your favorite I Love Workday photo.
Okay, thanks, David. Yeah, so a little bit about the photo that I had submitted. This is actually me and two of my coworkers. The three of us had gone to Workday Rising in Vegas, and this is actually the morning after we returned. We had all bought this jacket on 3 different trips, not at the same time, and had not planned this. So we showed up to the office Friday morning after a really long week in Vegas, all dressed exactly the same tanks, ankle-length pants, flat shoes. So it was just kind of funny. I think everybody thought we were going to a trade show or something. So this is what I posted for the I Love Workday card. We love Workday, and this is just us returning from Rising.
Sheena, thank you for your share and for your fantastic photo and story. Did you know that your 2 coworkers had bought the same jacket at least? Were you aware of that?
I knew one of them had. I didn't know the other one had. Like I said, all 3 of us bought it at different times going to the store, so we weren't together when we bought it, but I had seen it in one of their bags, but was not planned.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. Those who have not yet voted for their favorite I Love Workday photo, you'll find those on Community. Thank you, Sheena.
Thank you, Sheena. Now let's take a quick look at the Workday stock price.
We're not going to be following the Workday stock every week, but this is a follow-up to a pool that we had, and we didn't have time last week to cover this, so there was one person who did pick the moment or the day in which Workday crossed over 201 penny. So congratulations to the winner. It was only a few days after our episode of the Sharing Show a couple weeks ago. But what happened last week is I needed to point out that the pool was actually, when will the Workday stock break through 200 and a penny? And that was the initial question. And unfortunately, it didn't say when did it first break through. So last week we could have showed this picture. We only briefly went through it. Right there is 200 in the middle of the red. So pretty much every day of the previous week, Workday broke through 200. So there are actually another 4 winners of this pool. Now it's been another week since last week's airing of the sharing show, and there's 200. And once again, Workday pretty much every day is breaking through 200. So we have another 5 winners. So essentially what we're going to do now is, you may have guessed this, so everyone who participated in this pool wins a sharing show t-shirt, and that's one reason why we're taking votes from you as to, it's not quite black and white yet, but what kind of shirt we'll order for everybody.
Thanks, David. Up next, we have our challenge from last week.
All right, again, a reminder here, just that this is when you choose your data source for a report, the fully indexed report checkbox is checked automatically if it could be fully indexed. And this picture is showing again what I had in the brainstorm, so I'm only going to quickly go through it. Although the brainstorm doesn't show lower down in the picture, another option where you do see the word yes, and that pretty much gives away the challenge if you were to scroll down and see that the word yes is missing.
Okay, we're going to do a quick quiz, Kahoot, and let's see who makes the podium this week. Okay, so you're going to go back into your kahoot.it in your browser or on your smartphone. If you're on a browser, you will have to refresh to get the number in there.
And what we're going to do is we're going to have open microphone for the last half of this airing of the sharing show. That's why we're hitting the quiz Kahoot early.
Okay, so your pin for this is 427437, and there's only going to be one question today.
No pressure, but only one question.
All right, here we go.
A fully indexed report is available via a report type indexed, a report data source, a filter tab, or your company size. It really depends on how big your company is. Which one is it? If you're a big dog, small dog, excellent. Most people got that right. Your report data source is what drives whether or not, by default, the fully indexed report comes up. Well, let's see who made the podium here. Mikey T is in first, VB in second place, and Charlene third place, only a point away. Mikey T, you were very fast there on the button. So congratulations to the 3 of you. All right, right before the open mic, I think everyone got that. There is no report type index. There's simple, advanced, matrix, but there isn't anything called index for report type.
Okay, so up next, we have a position management share with Natalie from California.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie. I have been in the Workday ecosystem since 2012. Like David, I did a tour of duty at Workday, although my employee number was much higher, 3819. Today, I want to go over a little bit about position management in response to some questions that were asked last week around administration and, some challenges that another customer was having. So really, position management lives on a spectrum of tight and rigorous process and administration to loose and flowing process. So I want to discuss a little bit of the kind of extremes on the spectrum, and then we'll go over how you can go about figuring out where your business falls within that and how you can administer position management to assist that. generally for more loose position management usage, positions are not necessarily tied to headcount planning by finance. It's a little more fluid. Positions may be opened at an ad hoc or at time of hire basis, so less kind of in advance, for example. Little to no regulation of position movement across organizations. So you might see positions stay within the same supervisory org, or maybe they move into others, but there's not really some guidelines around that. Promotions and transfers may occur in the worker's current position. So, you know, maybe if you have no position restrictions, you allow a change in level or a change in location. Positions may become orphaned upon vacancy. This one happens a lot. I think I've seen it at different customers where either positions aren't closed once they're vacated and all of a sudden you have them floating out within your org chart or in different reporting. Nobody's really, you know, knows if they're using them or not. And then all of a sudden you have 500 open positions and you need to deal with them at some point. Positions not necessarily reutilized. So again, if you have orphan positions, maybe you're not backfilling people directly into the position that already exists. Maybe a new one is being created. Security and subordinates are assigned on an as needed or event basis. So instead of really focusing on, let's say a payroll partner, for example, leaves the company, you're going to backfill that role. If you open a new position, then you would have to, you know, go in and assign the security again versus using the existing position and inheriting the security that that person had. Administration might be held just by the operations team. So in the, you know, in the HR team, maybe they're the only ones looking at it and administering it, but they're not really using it for other organizations very strictly. So on the other side of the spectrum, if you have a really tight and rigorous process, your positions are likely directly tied to and opened against headcount planning. So in advance of the new fiscal year, after everything is approved, you would load your positions and hire and move people against those. There are likely tight controls around the movement of them. So again, transfers, really controlling that sort of butts and seats and headcount that a manager may have, you know, requiring approval or different things in order for a position to either be vacated in a supervisory org or to move to a new manager and therefore move the headcount. Backfills are usually hired into vacant positions. So again, with that payroll partner example, the position is already available. You will hire the person into that directly, as opposed to creating a new one. In some more strict organizations, I would say, I have yet to be in one that is really hardcore about promotions and requires a new position, unless it is maybe like a open headcount, you know, rec that you are hiring against, and an internal candidate interviews for that, and in that sense, maybe it's a level higher than they are, and they get hired into it, and that's considered a promotion. It really depends on your, you know, your reporting in your HR department, how they track those. Positions are tracked closely, no orphans. So again, following vacancy, either by a transfer or termination, positions are either closed out or reutilized, and there's a process and guideline around that. Security and subordinates inherited automatically, again, so backfilling a manager or backfilling somebody who has higher level permissions. It's stored on the position and it's very easy to administer. Doesn't really require much management around that. Administration may include leadership, finance, operations, and recruiting. So the reason why I included all of these groups is that usually there's a lot of intersection when positions are tightly controlled. So, you know, finance is really using the information as a source of truth. They're doing a lot of reporting on it. Recruiting is looking at those positions to make sure that they're recruiting for the right approved roles. Leadership might be well aware of what's in Workday and know what positions that they're hiring for or that they have vacant. And operations is assisting with the administration of that. Okay, so where do we fall within the spectrum? So there's a lot of flexibility in which pieces you choose to implement and whatever makes sense for your business. So here's some ideas about how you might figure out where you fall within the spectrum. So is Workday the source of truth for your headcount planning? So again, following a headcount planning process, are you loading that into Workday? Are you requiring approvals when opening net new positions, things like that? Is finance using the information to help inform their areas of work? Is a new position required for promotions or transfers? This may depend on what kind of promotion it is or transfer. Maybe it happens in some instances, maybe not all, maybe it is required for all. How will backfills be hired for transfers out or terminations? Again, same thing. How do we want to handle that open position? Also, do we want to go through another round of approvals or not? Are assigning direct reports and security a burden? So maybe you're in an organization where you don't have a lot of turnover or you're not in high growth. This might be quite easy. But if you do have a lot of movement going on, leveraging the security that is tied to position can be very helpful. And direct reports, of course. Should open positions be represented on the org chart? So I've been in different organizations where the org chart really only reflects who is there at that point in time. And, you know, there's a flexibility on the org chart set up for if you want to show open positions or not. Or do we want to give leadership, the ability to really see who they have now and what they might be hiring for in the future, and showing those open positions to them? Is any reporting on positions needed? Again, this will really inform how tightly or how loosely you want to control them. Do we need to know when positions are opened and closed? Do we need to know about if any of them are frozen? Or is it just kind of a fluid set of numbers, and as long as we have 50 at the end of the day, we don't really care what happened in between? Who needs to be involved in the administration and tracking? Again, what groups are included? Who needs to see what? Where's the source of truth? Who needs to be included in things like approvals or any of that sort of thing? Where is the intersection with with recruiting? So are they getting their information from the managers? The managers know they have, 5 open heads, but it doesn't necessarily matter what, senior software engineer versus software engineer, or is it that recruiting is a direct recipient of, again, the headcount planning that occurred? They know what's approved, they know what levels that they're recruiting for, where are they getting their information, or is Workday, just a consumer of what recruiting does? And then again, on top of all of this, requisitions. So do you need to leverage requisitions? Should you leverage requisitions? Are they required for recruiting activity? So in some organizations, and it also, again, depends on your ATS, and if you have an integration with Workday or whatever it is that you're doing, you can leverage requisitions to indicate that, recruiting activity can occur for a position, let's say for a backfill. We have an open position. We know we want to replace that person. We're going to open a rec against that. That triggers the recruiting activity, and then that rec will close once we fill it. And again, that position is filled. A lot of stuff right there. And I'm also happy to go into, if there are questions around actually the configuration related to a lot of things. But I wanted to give, some ideas to get the juices flowing about how you can figure out what your business requirements are and then leverage the system against that.
Natalie, thank you for your share. All right, Kane, I think we're ready to wrap up.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody. And thank you, David, Denise, Logan, to our special guests today. we are recording the show, as you always know, and we will post on YouTube later today, so you can go there, subscribe, get the notifications of when the new shows are out. And all that's left for me to say is have a great work day. Take care.